Okay, so I'm going to reiterate these poses over and over and over again. Contact down, passing up, contact down, passing up. And so we have our contacts now, right? So we have, if I go to my Epic Pen here, what we have is we have this pose, we have this pose, and then further on down we have the other contact pose when we come back to it. Now, even though I remember to say these in that order, contact down, passing up, and that is the order they happen in, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the order I have to animate them in, right? So what I like to think of is how I'm subdividing this. I have my key poses, right? And again, I could do down, right? But if I did halfway between that, I could break that down in my passing pose. And I may be able to get some stuff for free, but what I am going to do is I'm going to refine what's happening between contact and contact a little bit more by doing this. And hopefully that will tell me, make these poses here like a little easier to get, right? So let's just, I'll delete all that and we'll hide this. And let's go ahead and just try the passing pose instead. So instead of doing down pose like around here, I'm going to go halfway between these two poses right here. And again, I can kind of steal some stuff for free if I have this transitioning. So I go back and forth between the two, because you'll see now if I go halfway between, well, that's not the passing pose, but it's not the passing pose, right? This is what our passing pose is. A couple of things you'll notice is that, the body's moving up and down, right? And so this one is about the same height as the contact pose, maybe a little higher. But what you'll notice is that we're up on one leg and the other leg is tucked in behind us, because that's the leg passing from the back to the front, right? And if your character has arms, it's also the character's arms passing from the front to the back. So that means if I go back to here, well, we kind of got that, right? But not exactly. There is another thing I kind of could use. I would like to know where my floor is. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete these frames off of this one and just keep reusing this one. So if this is where I'm starting on my contact, I'm just going to draw me a floor on this reference layer. There we go. Starting here, I'm just drawing me a floor straight out. Now I know I at least want my foreground foot to land on that. It's all right if the background foot is maybe a little different. So like right now it's a little too low. Maybe I would raise that foot. Actually, I'll probably raise all three of these just a smidge higher. And what that's going to do is keep a little bit of like perspective in there to make it feel like that foot is further behind us. There's also some stuff I'll do at the end to darken this leg a little bit, to give it a little bit more of a shadowed feel, so we can keep them separate. And so with that now, I can tell where my foot should be if I were to set a keyframe here for my passing pose. Now, I'm getting some stuff for free here, but I don't want to take all of that for granted. So one of the things I want is I would like my foot deformation to essentially go back to its neutral pose as much as possible. And so if I grab that, so I can, let me lock that layer. I feel like I'm continuously selecting it. There we go. So I can turn on my deformer, and I'm going to go ahead and put this back to essentially, roughly its original pose. And on my foot rotation, I'm going to rotate this back down to the ground. But as you're seeing, it's a little higher than maybe I want it to be. Maybe just a little bit more like that. I also kind of want my body to be, as we saw earlier, just a little bit higher than it is on the idle pose, right? And I also want my knee on that leg to be not completely straight, but kind of straight. Now this back leg has all sorts of stuff we're going to have to work on for it. So with my foot, I want it to be sort of back here behind us. Like it's already kicked off, right? I could turn on my deformer for that. and flip that toe on through, like it's pushing off like this. And then I can, that foot maybe actually need to come just a touch more forward, so I can move this knee forward a little bit. Of course, I'm getting some blow through on my knee, so I'll use my correct just to clean that up a little bit. Maybe could use the correct on this one just a smidge too. There we go. I usually do sort of like a cleanup pass using that correct rig a little bit later to fix those little elements. However, this is working pretty good, right? But if I scroll through here, my body doesn't really seem to be doing very much, right? And so I kind of want to do a little bit more with the body. I've raised it up a little bit, right? But maybe I also want to play around with just a little bit of rotation, possibly even add like a little bit of deformation to this, right? Do I want to push my body a little bit forward like this? Like maybe it's rotating forward, right? And the reason I do that is because now I can see just a little bit of change there, right? So let's keep that, for now at least. Hit F6, and I'm going to hit Control C and Control V. And so now I have a duplicate of that pose, but you probably are seeing some of the issues with that, right? Is that like it is also sliding back to there. And so I'll need to slide that back forward again. If I want to, I can go back to my library and go back to my original drawing so I can see my placement a little bit better and get an idea of where that maybe should be instead. So I got that there, move forward to there. What I really want is for my heel to be lined up with that line there. And so I can, again, grab my body control, hold down control, foot, calf, go ahead and slide those forward until they're closer to that point. So now I get that as well. Now so we're in the right spot, and it's still the wrong pose. So we get, so you get to watch me make mistakes in real time. So I made the mistake of thinking that it was the right foot that was supposed to be on the ground here. Actually, it's the right foot that's supposed to be on the ground here. I'm correct there. You'll notice that feels right. This part does not. And it's because for this pose here, it should be the opposite of this pose. My left leg, the one in the back, should be the one that's on the ground. And my right leg should be the one that's up in the air. So let's go ahead and, I knew I was going to have to change it for one of them. I just did it for the wrong one. So we'll leave this leg alone, the right leg alone. Well, actually we won't. We'll go ahead and put this one up here and rotate it. And maybe move that knee forward just a little bit. Maybe the foot as well. I'll go ahead and put my toe deformer on there. There we go. Kick through with that toe. And what this should let us do now is on the other leg, grab that foot and put it down here where it kind of belongs, more flat on the ground. And of course it's a little bit more in depth, so it maybe won't be completely flat on the ground. It'll be having a little bit more depth to it, like this. Raise this toe up. And I am noticing that like my knee is probably too far forward on that. So maybe a little bit of something like this. Now looking at this, my hip is back here, and I want it to be that my hip is traveling forward to here. Are we getting that feeling? Yeah, I think so. Now we're getting some weird stuff right here, but don't sweat it too much. Again, that's just it squashing more than is necessary to get to this pose. And so now if I look at this, starting to look more like a walk, isn't it?